Ah, man, how many times do we have to play this team again? Mm. The Knicks lose to the Bucks again and get their butts handed to them by the Bucks again. 130, 111 is the final score of this game, which featured, I don't know, let's politely call it 7 minutes of garbage time or whereabouts. We could talk about this game for hours, and we could talk about this game for 30 seconds. You know, this is a really, really good basketball team, the Bucks. I mean, and they're going to be a bear for whoever they play this year. They've won, I think, 7 games in a row. They have, the third best record in the league. Since they scuffled out of the gate this season, over the first 10 games or so, they have I think it's the third best offense in basketball. It might be up to second after today. So they're a problem for everybody. And I always like, before we kill the Knicks about what the Knicks did or did not do, it's always good to recognize when an opponent is just really good. And the Bucks are really freaking good. And there's a reason they traded what they traded to get Damian Lillard. And by the way, Malik Beasley, give him credit. They kind of knew that their team identity was going to have to undergo an overhaul after they made the Beasley thing was in the beginning of the summer. Give them credit for playing Beasley. They had signed Beasley already. Give them credit for playing Beasley and going all in on offense. Because as I was starting to say, they knew their team identity had changed. So let's just go all in and let's do what the Nuggets did last year: be the best offense in basketball and be, a mediocre defense. And so far, so good. That said, it continues to be a bad matchup for the Knicks. The Knicks didn't do a lot of good or a lot of things well today, and I'll talk about them in a second. But I wouldn't be surprised if we looked up at the end of the season and New York was, 45 and 27 against the rest of the league and 0 and 10 against the Bucks and the Celtics. We know what their issues are with the Celtics. A lot of them stem from Kristaps Porzingis being a dynamite stretch 5. But also the Celtics are a pretty big team, and their size manifests itself against New York, I think, on both ends of the floor. For Milwaukee, they are also a big team and a bigger team. I mean, really, they're a bigger team than anybody out there other than Dame. I mean, you look at the foundational, okay, what are the matchups? Okay. And every matchup, it's always starts with, all right, where are we hiding Jalen Brunson? And can the team exploit us for hiding Jalen Brunson on X? Well, the only place to hide Jalen Brunson in this starting lineup is against Malik Beasley. And right off the bat, you're in trouble because we saw a play early in this game where Jalen Brunson had fantastic fucking coverage on Malik Beasley in the corner. And Malik Beasley thought for a second. He's like, oh, wait a minute. I'm 6 foot, whatever I am. And this dude's not, let's keep it a buck. All you have to do is ask Becky Hammond, right? He's not tall. And he just shot it right over him. And then there are other instances where Brunson will have pretty good position. He'll, timing on the contest will be okay. And Beasley will just bully him and put the ball on the floor. And when you got a guy like that, who, by the way, is on a minimum contract, good job by them. It's not just drive and kick if he gets run off the line or if he feels like he can't shoot it. I could make a floater. I could make the next pass, and I could finish a little bit around the rim. So and I just named the least threatening player in Milwaukee's offense. And you just go on down the line from there. RJ Barrett occasionally gives some wings trouble. Chris Middleton looks at RJ Barrett like he's not even fucking there. There was the first basket of the fourth quarter when the Knicks were grasping to stay in this game. Middleton put a few moves on Barrett, and by the time he was done, it was an impressive, whatever it was, 18-foot fadeaway. RJ Barrett was 5 feet from him. These guys, and that's just another example. Randle, there is not 28 other teams, well, maybe 27 other teams because Karl-Anthony Towns was pretty big too. But almost any other team, you put Randle on their starting 4, and there are obviously ways you could catch Randle on defense with ball movement and making him contest to the corner and all that stuff. Not many teams has a starting four where it's just like, yeah, I'm just going to move you out of the way. And Giannis could do that. And then I haven't even mentioned the guy who's supposed to be the best defender in New York's starting five at this point. God love, DiVincenzo. He's out there trying, but it's like, okay, now here's your job. You stop Dame Lillard. And all the way on down. And it's just, and you could see why, like, yeah, Fred sent out a very, very smart text or tweet at the beginning of this game where and that's what it always comes down to for the Knicks. What are the contests like at the 3-point line? Are they good, solid contests? Are they timely contests? Are you staying on your feet or are you blowing by? Are you getting taken off the dribble even if you are there? And the contests weren't great. So that's problem number one. But again, it's a little bit of column A and it's a little bit of column B. It's a little bit of the matchup. It's a little bit about not being on your toes. So you throw all that together. And then obviously once guys do get blown by, then there's your corner help and there's your open corner three. And I'm still waiting for the Bucks to miss a corner three against us this year. I mean, I said in the Substack chat earlier, I watched basketball for 30 years. I don't think I've ever seen anything like a team hit from three. Like this Bucks team has now hit in three. They've hit over 50% in all three games against the Knicks. Think about that for a second. That's insanity. And yeah, it has to do with the matchup and it has to do with some of the poor 3-point defense. And in particular, the 3-point defense, I would say in the first game was extremely poor. It wasn't much better in the second game. This was probably the best of the three. That's sad. But I mean, even so, you don't expect a team ever to hit 50% against you in the first three games they play against you, and they've done that. And I'd love to know what the percentage is specifically from the corners. They're an incredible corner 3-point shooting team. So I mean, we shouldn't be surprised they're good, but I mean, to be this good, and then, and I guarantee you though, I don't think Tom Thibodeau is going to talk about any of the shit that I just talked about as he addresses his locker room after this game, if he does, in fact, address them. The numbers that he is going to say are 53 and 40, and it actually was not that close. That's the rebounding margin, 53 to 40. I believe that is the biggest margin of the season for a Knick opponent over them. If not, it's second. And it was actually more pronounced because both teams were just trading possessions in the fourth quarter for the majority of the time. So they really, really handled the Knicks on the boards, but again, that gets back to the size. Now, Tibbs would probably try to tell you, we have enough. Yeah, we have enough. Okay. Yeah, they do have enough a lot of the time. But man, this is one matchup where their team being composed of a lot of guards really, really, really comes to bite them in the ass. And then when you take Mitchell Robinson out of the equation, not that he's been great against the Bucks, it really starts to show up. So talked about the 3-point shooting, talked about the rebounding, obviously. And yet, this is going to sound insane. Despite all that, I think there was a path where the Knicks could have made this a game. They came out firing on all cylinders on offense right out of the gate. I mean, I was really impressed with how they came out firing on the offensive end. They took care of the ball for pretty much the whole first half into the third quarter. And then they had a stretch where they just kind of hit a lull. And that lull lasted from the last 3-4 minutes of the first quarter, maybe even more, until Brunson kind of put them on their back a little bit at the end of the first half and made it a single-digit game. And then third quarter, again, kind of back into a lull until end of the third quarter. It was some Brunson. Brunson got going there at the end of the third. And then they had a shot. They had a shot in this game after that Middleton bucket I referenced to start the scoring in the fourth of the Bucks. New York scored, I think it was RJ. We'll get to him. I promise we'll get to him. Made 2 of his 3 baskets, and they were sandwiched around a quickly 3. I think, was it an 8-0 run? But whatever it was a single-digit game. Okay, we got a ball game here. And then what happens? more scuffling on offense. RJ had 2 good looks in the lane, short-armed them both. Those were sandwiched around a quickly missed 3. I might be getting the timing of the quickly made 3 messed up, but whatever. They made their little run. It wasn't enough because they couldn't build on it. And of course, Milwaukee eventually just came down and scored again because that's what Milwaukee does against our basketball team. I'm not going to go so far as to say it was a marvelous performance from Jalen Brunson, but it was like whatever one notch under marvelous is. The dude had 36 and 7 assists and was the only reason. And like, yeah, I'm sure there's people out there because find a shitty take and you'll find a camp of people that like wholeheartedly embrace that take somewhere out there on Knicks Twitter. I'm sure people will be like, "Oh, I shot the ball too much, not enough ball movement." When nobody has fuck anything going, it's time for your best offensive player to step up and shoot the ball, and he was doing that, and he was making pretty much everything until he kind of went cold at the very end of the game when honestly it didn't even really matter. So maybe we should say it's a brilliant performance from Jalen Brunson. I mean, he was awesome. I don't want to hear a negative word about his offense. The defense, it is what it is. And it's a problem. You know, against certain teams, it's a bigger problem than others. I don't know that there's a team out there that is a bigger problem against than this Bucks team, which is why, you know, you love the fight, you love the scoring, you love his ability to do what he does. The reason why I'm not going to kill him for getting picked on defense is, you know, just like I always try to add the caveat with Julius of like, he ain't the only star player around the league who's not giving 110% on defense. Like Jalen Brunson ain't the only star guard who's getting picked on defense either. So, you know, be fair. That said, he was picked on and it is what it is. Randle, I mean, he had 26 points. He ended up 8 of 17. He started off really cold. I'm not killing Randle on tonight. I don't know if anybody has the desire to do that. Yeah, some looks that again, it's a poor matchup because Breen said it on the broadcast. Like you sure you'll get the switch, and they were giving him the switch because the switch, Giannis can help off. And again, this is a Bucks team where it's like, yeah, sure. Even if the switch is leaving Brunson there and Giannis has to help off of Brunson, this Bucks team will be like, all right, well, Jalen Brunson goes for 45 or 50 or 55 against us and beats us with his offense. Yeah, okay, we'll live with that. They'd rather have Giannis there as the rover. And obviously the big one is Brook Lopez down in the paint. And that's where, you know, Randle sees that and knows that. And what's the big change in Randle's game this season? Getting deep, right? Not under the basket, but getting to those spots 4, 5, 6, 7 feet away where it's all automatic. Well, all of a sudden, if Brook Lopez is right there, yeah, you got the mismatch. But the second you take that mismatch close enough to the paint, guess who's converging? And so, you know, I don't want to say this matchup's in his head a little bit, but it was a tough matchup for him. You know, 0-2 from 3. He's not hitting threes still. So that kind of takes away his other option for how to help him. I thought he was their second best offensive player in the game, and I'm not sure it was particularly close. DiVincenzo came out firing. He was good, but then he kind of went quiet after the first quarter. But at least he showed up and tried to do some things. I think Hartenstein had some nice moments, played 33 big minutes. You know, did what he can, came down with 13 rebounds. After those 4 guys, and I'll put Taj for the side. The fact that Taj Gibson could give them 15 good minutes and it doesn't like look overtly bad is a testament to the shape that guy keeps himself in. They again, shitty takes abound somewhere. The reason they lost this game had nothing to do with the fact that Taj Gibson was their backup center. I needed a little bit more from the other 4 guys. And I feel bad lumping quickly in with that group. I mean, you know, he didn't shoot it well, 2 of 8. He had some nice moments on defense. This was a game where, especially in that early fourth quarter, could have used a little bit more quickly. Quickly had a great look from 3. There, top of the key. I think after the Bucks had scored the first basket to end the run, missed it. Obviously, I'm not going to kill him for one shot, but you know, 2 of 8 is 2 of 8. Again, he struggles against this team. I don't think it's a great matchup for him. Again, with all their length, like all of his dribbling and jittering and this and that and the other thing, like don't really do anything. Like Brunson, that shit works because he's Jalen Brunson. Manuel quickly ate Jalen Brunson. You're never gonna be. Nothing, there's no shade on him, but it is what it is. Josh Hart, non-entity today. What did he come down with? 2 rebounds? I looked up towards the end of the game. I think he had 2 rebounds. Man, and again, is it his fault that Bobby Portis is just much, much bigger than him, and that's his primary matchup in these backup units? No. But didn't show up. Didn't really do anything. Didn't contribute meaningfully. And boy, oh boy, did you see his hesitancy from deep show up in this game. And then, I don't know. No, I'll save RJ for... Grimes, in some ways, it's more frustrating than RJ because it's funny, you look back now and there's Hartenstein like imploring him, begging him, cut to the rim. And finally he did, and he got swatted. But like that instinctual something that DiVincenzo brought to the backup unit that he's now bringing to the starting unit, like Grimes doesn't do that. The notion that moving Grimes from the starting unit to the backup unit was all of a sudden going to turn him into some more like instinctual player when it comes to all the little things that Dante DiVincenzo does on offense, like that's fantasy. And in some ways, you think about it, like the reason why he kind of fit in well with the starting offense is because they do all the work, and he does just need to stand there and like wait for the ball. Because they have these 3-ball dominant guys. If anything, the backup unit needs a little bit more juice. I'm not saying make a shift, but like there's like you could see why their thinking always was keep Grimes in the starting 5. And like you see flashes. Like I feel like his first game coming off the bench, where he had a bunch of points and he looked good doing it. That was more just like being aggressive. Like he's aggressive sometimes looking for his shots, but it's just not natural for him to move on the offensive end of the court like he needs to. And again, I'm going to keep going back to it. Yeah, he's a good defender. Against this Bucks team, 6'4" shows up. His being 6'4" shows up. And then I don't know. I don't have the energy to kill RJ Barrett anymore. Like what? Go back, look at a post game from his rookie year, his second year, his third year, last year. What's the point? What the fuck's the point? Seriously. What is this? Year 6? Is he gonna find the consistency? Year 7? Year 8? I feel like LeBron with the pre-championship parade. Not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6, not 7. That's RJ. Consistency's coming, guys. Don't worry. It's coming, guys. It's coming. Any year now. Should throw a parade for that. Okay. I got nothing left. I'm sorry. I'm fucking cranky. I've been in isolation for 3 days. I have a fucking splitting headache. So don't think anything I say personally, whether your name is RJ Barrett or otherwise today. And I think we got Andrew coming on for the what do we got? Super chats? Or no, not the betting thing. There we go.
Yes, the sponsored segment that we do, the betting thing. How are you, first of all? That's the number one question that everybody has.
Fantastic. Yes.
Okay.
Really good. Doing really well right now. Yeah.
Good. I'm glad.
Thank
awesome. You. Take a breather. Get something to drink. I'll handle the sponsored segment. Okay.
Got the water right here.
Awesome. Inhale, exhale. They got their teeth kicked in by a team they're supposed to kick their teeth in.
That's what I said.
I know. And I'm bringing us back down to that level of satire. Okay. Shout out to the fine folks over at PrizePicks. We appreciate your sponsorship for this this post game that I don't know how joyous it's going to be. But it's going to be a post game for that matter.
This is season to play.
Exactly. I don't know how jolly it's going to be or merry for that matter. But if you would like to try and take advantage of the great deals going on at PrizePicks at the moment, go to prizepicks.com/KFS and use code KFS for a first deposit match up to $100. So actually, we've been saying it wrong. It's whatever the match that you put in for your first deposit. So if you put in $50 on your first match, they'll match it. If it's
nice.
$10 on your first match, they'll on your first deposit, they'll match it. Whatever you want your first deposit to be, they will match it up to $100. Again, that's prizepicks.com/KFS and use code KFS for a first deposit match up to $100. Daily fantasy sports made easy. Shout out to the fine folks over at PrizePicks. Unfortunately, I cannot shout out the betting and sweating crew today. So I think this might be an operator error because I'll speak for myself personally. First of all, XJ is the only one that hit the over. He took Isaiah Hartenstein, 11 rebounds and assists.
Good job by him.
Rebounds alone, Hartenstein hit it with 13 rebounds today. I spent a ton of time researching for these two games for the pregame pod and saw all these great Bucks offensive numbers. And I should have just taken a buck is what I should have done, whether it be Bobby Portis or Dame Lillard or Giannis.
Any buck.
Literally any buck and how good they've been over the last 20 games. Higher offensive rating than the Indiana Pacers. This makes them 16-4 in their last 20 games. For those of you that missed the pregame pod. Instead, I went with Josh Hart. Points, rebounds, assists, 16.5. He finished in total.
I was about to say, did he have 6.5 points, rebounds, and assists?
7 total. He had 2 points, 2 rebounds, 3 assists, I believe. Yep, 2 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists. So
it's not what you want.
Bad job by me. Mensa took a Mayo quickly over 2.5 boards. He finished with 2. So we were 1 rebound away. And then Sean with the W. Some of those bunnies that Randle missed will come back to haunt them. Also, a lot of his kickouts to RJ did not lead to assists because RJ went, although he did go 2 of 5 from 3, went 5 of 17 today. The Knicks also went 9 of 29 from 3. So some of those.
Oh, that's what I want. Sorry, I meant to mention. I meant to mention that at the top. In addition to the Bucks shooting and in addition to the rebounding, you're not going to beat this team with how many threes did they make?
The Bucks made 16. The Knicks made 9. Oh, the Knicks made 9. 9 of 29 from 3. This is yet another game that the Knicks are not able to win if they don't shoot at least 35% from 3. That trend continues. Sean took Julius Randle over 40 points, rebounds, and assists, and unfortunately hits the under. So shout out to XJ for being our lone victor today. And one more time, a thank you to the fine folks over at PrizePicks. Again, go to prizepicks.com and use promo code KFS for a first deposit match up to $100. PrizePicks, daily fantasy sports made easy.
We have a new line of demarcation for the Knicks 3-point shooting, though, because they beat the Nets the other night despite shooting. I want to say they shot. It was I think it was just under 35. But today they shot 31%. So now the new line of demarcation is somewhere in that I think in that zone.
They shot 39% from 3 against the Nets.
Was it against the Lakers then?
It's the Laker game you're thinking of. But that was also that can be the outlier. That and the Heat game can be the outlier. They're normally not going to win unless they shoot at least 35% from 3.
Not against this team, they ain't winning.
Nope. Because the Bucks are going to shoot close to 100% from 3.
It's insanity. All right. Thank you, GMAC. Now you're turning it over to APJP, right?
APJP on the 1s and 2s. Right. Shout out everybody. I'll be here for your post game on Christmas, and hopefully that's a little more jolly. But until then, have a Merry Christmas, everybody, and I'll see you on the post game then. What's up?
No, I was gonna say all they have to do is get one of these. I know we're all going to be down today. If they win on Christmas, today doesn't matter.
I would ask Santa or Jesus or whoever you want to ask for something else. More realistic. Okay. That's what I will say. Not that the powers of Santa or Jesus, I'm going to get in trouble for comparing those two and their powers later. But I think we're just hoping for, how about a consistent RJ game? How about that? A solid RJ game on Sunday. That gives us, on Monday, it gives us a good shot.
What about the powers of the mighty Thor? How about that?
I think if Giannis got electrocuted, we'd have a chance to win on Monday. That could be it. Maybe you give Randle Thor's hammer, and you have a shot in this game when the Bucks are also getting the whistle that favors them too.
Very fair. Okay.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you, Andrew. Okay, let's giddy up. We'll commiserate together here. Thank you again. PrizePicks, betting and sweating. Don't forget, do the deposit match thing. It's cool stuff. Okay. starting us off today, Danny Gardner. What's going on, Danny? How you doing, man? The offensive process from RJ right now is a disaster. IQ needs to stop dribbling for 17 seconds on possessions. Other than that, same old Bucks. JB is amazing. I got to tell you, the backup brigade right now, not loving it. Quickly and RJ to me are guys that are, well, quickly, more quickly. I think quickly is a guy that just like, he will struggle against teams that could really throw length at him, you know, because he counts on the dribble. I mean, it's like Brunson, right? He counts on the dribbling to get him somewhere. And I tell you one thing, I feel like we haven't seen a ton of from Quickly this year, and I checked it yesterday morning. Actually, his assist percentage it's down a little bit. So I know we're focused on RJ's process. I mean, and for obvious reasons, because the thing with Quickly is the shot. Like, I know he went 2 for 8. I didn't have a problem with Quickly shots that he took today. Like, most of the time, a lot of those times the shots will go in. The compliment that I'll give to Emmanuel Quickly, and I mean this. And this is not a backhanded compliment. This is a genuine compliment. Is if the shot's not there, he's not going to take it. Like, he does not take shitty shots, and that's because nobody on this team takes bad shots, with the exception of RJ Barrett. And that is why, more than anything else, my frustration level and my tendency to poke fun at this player, and by extension, his robust support group, that is why I will not feel bad about it. Because since Tibbs took over, like, who gets to take the bad shots? Like, you want to talk about Randle, okay, at times over the years, doesn't have it going. That dude's a 2-time effing all-star, a 2-time all-NBA player. You earn the right to take some tough shots if that's your resume. RJ has not earned any such right. So when he drives the lane and Brook Lopez is just standing there and there's a kick out to be had, and RJ's like, let's see how this goes. And he gets swatted into Ben Stiller's lap. Like, what are we doing here? Come on, man. You don't get to do that. It's not okay. You're not allowed. You don't have the currency. 7 great games. I know. 7 great games. Not one, not 2, not 3. I'll be fucking batty by the end of this post game. Let's move on. Thank you, Danny. Jack McMick, what's going on? First time, long time, KFS. Well, thanks for coming aboard. Tough loss, but we'll bounce back. Moving from New York to LA, and you all gave me comfort that I'll still have Knicks fans to chat with. Much love. Listen, man, we are. It amazes me. It's funny. My mom actually commented on it the other day. How, like, you know, whether it's a halftime Zoom or, you know, whether it's one of our town halls or just people that are chiming in on Twitter or whatever the case may be, it really does feel sometimes like we have more fans. The Knicks have more fans like outside of New York than inside of New York. And I love that that's kind of become what KFS is for a lot of people. So, and there's like so many Knicks fans in LA. Like, Fuddy, man. Futternick's the best Knicks fan I know. And I know he's not the only one out there. There's a lot of good ones out there. So, yeah, good luck on the move, though. And thanks for chiming in. Dom Cappuccini, what's going on, Dom? Hope you're feeling better, John. Well, not so much, but I'm powering on through. You and I are in the same boat. So much for the Knicks giving us a little joy from our COVID boredom. Oh, no, not you two. I don't know. I wouldn't wish this on anyone. Rest up, man. I'm going back into bed after I get done with this. Actually, I'm recording a pod with Jeremy and then going back into bed. They say it's hard to win both on a back-to-back. There's that for us. Nap time. See you in a couple hours. Listen, get better. Appreciate the very generous contribution. As always, you're very kind. The back-to-back part of it, the thing that worries me is they really did come out firing on all cylinders tonight. You know, I mean, the Hardenstein 2 fouls. I know Tibbs just had a quote after the game that he felt like the 2 early fouls on Hardenstein really kind of sent the snowball rolling down the hill. I'm sorry. Reasonable minds could differ, I guess, on this. I thought Taj came in for Hartenstein and, like, I didn't think it changed. Like, there was nothing glaring about it for me where I was like, oh, well, that's why now the game has gotten away from them. Because, and I know that to be true because Hartenstein went out. I wrote it down. 2:05 into the game. And they were neck and neck with the shot making for at least the first 6-7 minutes of that one. But then again, you know what? What Taj probably doesn't have is he doesn't have the stamina. So maybe there were some boards that I didn't notice that he should have gotten that the Bucks got instead, and towards the end of that quarter, and that's what kind of got things going. That's possible. As far as the back-to-back, yeah, I know it's hard. I think we'll shoot better. You know, really nobody shot well outside of Brunson. So, and you want to throw DiVincenzo in there, but that's a good sign, right? And for them, like, they obviously the Bucks shot really well, but again, when at this point, I'm like done counting on the Bucks to not shoot well, because definition of insanity. Thanks, Tom. Appreciate you as always. Kevin Danishevsky, what's going on, Kev? All my old reliables coming here to watch me be a cranky, sick old man today. It's always bad when Kevin starts off with a I've become involved in protest movements and learned some chants. So how about, hey, Robert, who wouldn't we trade RJ Barrett for today? Oh, that's mean. That's mean, Kev. That's mean. But you know what it is, Kevin? He had a bad game today. Would it surprise anyone if RJ showed up on Christmas and had an awesome performance? Of course not. It shouldn't, or and then parlayed that into another good week. He had a week or two recently where he was actually pretty good. Didn't love it. I still don't see the offensive process that we saw in the beginning of the year. The 3-point shot still doesn't come around. Those are two kind of important things. But, like, he had a good, solid, week to 10-day or whatever it was stretch recently. He'll have more of those throughout the season. The issue with the consistency and why at some point flashes are just that, they're just flashes, is because he is players of his ilk who have hot stretches and then cold stretches and then hot stretches and then cold stretches. That's a six-man in the NBA today. You know who that is? That's Tim Hardaway Jr. We saw him here. We saw a guy, a six-man, who was masquerading as a top 2 or 3 ever option on a team that was trying to be decent. And then he, eventually went to Dallas, and I have no idea if he's starting right now, but, like, when they're whole, he's their six-man, and that's why that's what you should be. Actually, no, he is their six-man because it's him and Quickly in terms of the leading six-man scorers. That's the real shit of it, is like, how do we get Emmanuel Quickly more minutes? If Emmanuel Quickly starts, then all of a sudden you got your 4 offensive generators in the same starting lineup, and then it makes it hard to stagger, and this, that, and the other thing, and blah, blah, blah. The guy whose game screams six-man is RJ Barrett. It's because of the inconsistency. Quickly, yeah, he'll have an off shooting night every now and then like he did tonight. Night and day from Barrett in terms of what he brings consistently on defense and what he brings consistently, even in terms of his process. I know that he has a tendency to over dribble a little bit, but but of course you're never going to do that. And part of that is like actual tangible basketball reasons, because you kind of like RJ's the only big wing on the team. Well, not really, because you also have Josh Hart, which oh, look, I just named the Knicks' most consistent closing lineup from last year. Brunson, Quickly, Hart, Randle, and whoever the center is. That's because it makes the most sense. It's your most consistent lineup. But they're not going to do that because RJ, has a certain pedigree here, and he was the 3rd pick in the draft, and he has, still kind of, sort of, in a weird way, has part of the has taken hold of a part of the whole face of the franchise tag and held on to it. So yeah, I don't know what you want to do. Thanks, Kev. Jack McMack with another one. Love this team as is, but is a lineup. This is the one everybody keeps talking about. Brunson, Donovan, OG, Randle, and Mitch with a plus bench, a title contender. Seems doable by next season if the front office wants it. Well, not so sure about that. I think Masai or whoever is talking out of Toronto continues to talk up a very big game about how they don't want to let OG Anunoby get away. And that's really smart because OG Anunoby is a really good player and he's exactly the type of guy you don't want to let get away. The Mitchell thing, I mean, who knows? I mean, look, but you know, I don't love the notion of Brunson and Mitchell. Can it work? Yeah. Can it work? Can that team you're talking about work well enough maybe to win a title? Maybe. It's possible. There's a diminishing returns thing there that I keep having trouble getting around. That said, if it happens, I'll celebrate it. I'll be happy about it. I'll be so excited to watch, to see if, much like Denver last year and much like Milwaukee is trying to do this year, the Knicks could be the latest team to say, you know what? Screw defense. We're going to try to be an average defense, and we're going to try to be the best offensive team in basketball. I don't know that the whole is greater than the sum of the parts there. Like Dame and Giannis, that should be the best pick and roll combination in basketball. Like you can't have something that works anybody. Like we see the offensive combinations that rise the tide, right? And lift all the ships. LeBron and AD, Giannis and Dame, Jokic and Murray. I'm trying to think who I'm free. Obviously the Warriors, right? Like talk about guys that complement each other. Having two guards whose games are kind of similar. And then you throw in Randle, who like Randle would really be called upon to be a playmaker in that group. Now granted, him and Brunson have developed a nice chemistry, and Brunson absolutely does some stuff off the ball, and his ability to become a really lethal three-point shooter has enabled him to be more effective in that role, playing off of Randle. And so maybe you add another star to the mix. Maybe it does make it better. I don't know. I have to see it, but I have my doubts. Thanks, Jack. Haitian Ferg. Oh, boy. Oh, no. Not you, Haitian. I'm done with RJ. We started at 12:30, and he showed up at 2. Oh, that's a good line. I'm jealous, Haitian. I'm jealous. It's a good line. If I was wearing a hat, I'd tip it to you. I don't have anything else to add. I'm not going to begrudge anybody at this point. Jacob Slavitt. As a day one RJ stan, his lack of offense has become unacceptable. Not sure who this is on other than RJ, but something needs to change. I mean, the RJ blame game, man, we've played a lot of rounds of that, right? First, it was the team as a whole with the roster construction because he had no spacing. He couldn't drive. Then it was on, who do we go to next? I guess Randle took a turn at some point. Like Randle's monopolizing the offense. RJ doesn't get his proper share. We've gone through it. He doesn't have a real point guard to play with. There's that. Okay. Tibbs obviously taking a lot of the blame. You don't call any good stuff for RJ. You don't call any stuff for RJ, this or that. So there's that too. Who else? Who have I forgotten? Sure, I'm forgetting a few people on who we've blamed RJ's stagnation on over the years. I don't know what to tell you, man. I really want to sit down and have like my own little like one-on-ones with all the people who were the day one stands and kind of really stayed on the bandwagon, because I wasn't a day one stan, and I was never a stan early on, and I'm still not quite sure why that was, why I was not in that group, but that's a me thing. Thanks, Jacob. Jesse M, what's going on, Jesse? Safe to say RJ's hot start was a complete fluke. Oh, I don't know about that. We'll see. He's back to being an extremely frustrating player. The extremely frustrating player he's always been. Another gross 3 for 14 performance. Well, I think he actually finished better than that, but it's about when you're having those performances, and I said this about Brunson during the Nets game or during the Lakers game? Again, it all runs together in my head. But one of the last few games, Brunson did not have a great shooting night, and his process wasn't particularly good. I think it was the Nets game. It was the Nets game, and forced a few shots for sure. Forced a few shots. But I said it after that game for a reason. Never, for me at least, others, this is my own personal take, I never watched Brunson and I'm like, man, he's got to stop shooting the ball. If I've done that, the amount of times I've done that, if I've ever done that with him as a Knick, I could count on one hand, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to have a few fingers left over, because it always, he seems to have a really good balance. Now, a balance between trying to look for his own offense and accepting, like, okay, I don't got this today, or I don't got that today. What else can I do, or how else can I try to help my team win? Now, it's tough for him because defensively he's not a plus player. But, like, it shouldn't be that tough for RJ, I don't think, to tap into other ways that he can help his team win basketball games. Be ferocious on the boards. Be ferocious on defense. Like, you have this physique and you have this size. Like, we see it. Cut, move around on offense a little bit more. Like, do that stuff like you mean it. And I feel like we don't get it. And I think that's, again, along with the lack of consistency, because none of us are sitting, I'm not sitting here saying that RJ Barrett is not capable of having good games and good weeks and good months. He is. But when the lack of consistency is what it is at this point, and you're this far along into your career, you just kind of have to be like, okay, how am I going to be the sort of player that is not going to make fans sit after a game and say the shit that people like me and you are saying after this game? Because that's what it comes down to. That's what a winning player does. Thanks, Jesse. Robert Cross. Oh, boy. It's your boy, John. I am here to defend RJ against the oncoming horde. We need him if we are opening presents on Christmas. Freedom. Hashtag 53 wins. Well, I guess now that Mitch is down for the year, and you've acknowledged that Mitch is your favorite Knick, I guess you got no choice but to hop on RJ's back and hope he carries you somewhere good. I just wish we could all be honest. That's it. I don't think that's too much to ask. He's a very inconsistent player who has had some great moments and had some god-awful moments. Good luck, Robert. That's what I'll say. Good luck. Jibo, literally our worst matchup. F the IST. Is it their worst matchup or is it Boston? That's a good question. I hope the IST doesn't end up screwing us in the caboose when it comes down to making the playoffs. I've been pretty consistent. Haven't changed my tune really since the beginning of the year. Get in the top 6. Even without Mitch. I still say get in the top 6. And those 2 frigging games, man. No guarantee they would have won whoever else they played, but I don't know. Thanks, Shibo. Ham DM. Oh my God. Well, this is the first one of these I feel like we've had in a while, if not the year. Thank you, Hamdy. I haven't even read your comment yet, but never know. I never know what to say in response to generous contributions like this, and I never feel even remotely deserving. And I speak on behalf of everybody here at Knicks Film School. But man, all right, Hamdy. I've been traveling a lot lately, watching the Knicks from a distance. John's post game after the loss to the Bucks in the IST was so on point. The lens in which you view this team will set your expectations. Very good team, but not a contender, and that's okay for now. Yes, 100%. Rorschach test, the ultimate Rorschach test. And I want to say two things off of your point because it's a great point, and I hope you're having safe travels. I hope you get to have some sort of a holiday season for whatever holiday you celebrate with your family. I think there's a few reasons why there's more frustration on behalf of a lot of Knicks fans for what should be a very apparent reality. One, I do think it comes down to the specifics of games like this, where some of the games are less frustrating than others. A game like this where you have a young player that was kind of touted as something, and like there are still people out there, I'm sure, who are maybe a little peeved that they, if they perceive RJ as the holdup in the Donovan Mitchell trade. But like, this is the young player who, not the only one, but perhaps the most obvious one to take a leap and put you maybe into a slightly different class of team. Now, I'm not sure I ever was fully on board with that possibility, but that I think is one reason why you'll get a lot of frustration after a game like this. I think another reason you'll get a lot of frustration is because you have ESPN and all these other media outlets who, because they have nothing else to talk about when it comes to the Knicks, they keep saying the same thing. They need to star, they need to star, they need to star. And then you get a fan base who, reads this, that, or the other aggregation about, well, doesn't seem like there's any stars coming on the market anytime soon. So, like, what are we doing here? So I think that's where part of the frustration comes from. And I also just think you look around the league, and I don't know how many other teams are quite in New York's boat, because you have Boston, Milwaukee, Philly. Those are genuine true blue contenders. You have your fun, young, up-and-coming teams where it's like the sky's the limit. Our players are young. We have maybe some other teams' picks in the case of Orlando. I forget if Indy has a pick coming up, but that's your Pacers. That's your Magic, right? Okay. The Heat, rule them out at your own risk. Like, they've done it already. They've made 2 finals. And then you got Cleveland and the Knicks. And Cleveland 16-3. The Knicks now are 16-2. So for all intents and purposes, you kind of put those two teams in the same boat. And I know there's a lot of frustrated Cleveland fans out there. Now, I think the difference between us and them is they made their gamble. They made their bet, and they were counting on some kind of jump, either whole being greater part than some of the parts or Mobley making the jump. And neither of those things has happened. So I think they have more reason to be frustrated than us. And then you go look out west, Minnesota, genuine contender. OKC, best is yet to come and might be a genuine contender. Denver, obviously genuine contender. Clippers, I've always been higher on the Clippers than others. Genuine contender. Lakers, Suns, say what you want about their struggles. They're currently 9th and 10th in the West. I'm not ruling either of those teams out as far as they could actually really do it. And then that leaves the Kings. I think still they're pretty high off the fumes of sucked for 20 years and now we're finally good and competent again and all that. Pelicans, draft assets, maybe best is yet to come kind of thing with them too. So you go, I didn't mean to spend as much time on that as I did, but least I could do after your super chat here. I do think that it's not just like we're a bunch of spoiled Knicks fans and we're, a group of New Yorkers who want what we want, and we want it now and feel like we're entitled to it. I do think they occupy this very unique position in the hierarchy of the league. And that is why you get the level of frustration that you do. I'm not saying it's warranted, because I do still believe that this team, and specifically this front office, this is not the last version of the Knicks that we will see before we move on to some other iteration. Like, they will make their move or moves. There's zero question in my mind. Now, maybe moves that people don't love, but they will take a swing. The swing is coming. So maybe I'll end by saying that. Like, to anyone who watches a game today and is like frustrated because we're just not in the same class as that team, this was never meant to be the final iteration of this team. And I don't for 1 second believe that what we are seeing is the final iteration of this team. So thank you again, Hamdi. Appreciate that. Happy holidays. Adam Rea, what's going on, Adam? It's my birthday. Oh, I'm sorry, man. Happy birthday, though. You got to see a nice Brunson game. That's good. But unfortunately, the Knicks have lost 6 in a row on December 23rd. Oof. The last win was 2013 against the Magic. Man, that's tough. That's tough. I mean, I'm really sorry. Happy birthday. I hope you're having a nice dinner tonight or something, anything to put a smile on your face. Don't worry about this game. Seriously. And the Knicks are, like, here's the thing. To Hamdi's point, the Knicks are good. They're 16-12. They're a solid team. Just not on that level. Hamdi M with another one. Merry Christmas, by the way. Best wishes to everybody. Merry Christmas to you. And best wishes to all. And to all a good night. Next up, Robert Cross. First time, long time at your boy John. APB on Grimes. Does he need to go back into the starting lineup? What's going on here? Hashtag 53 wins. What's going on here is I think this is a young player who's going through it. And I think it's a little bit below the neck, and I think it's a lot above the neck. And there is a lot of pressure on him to perform. I continue to wonder if the impending rookie extension contract negotiations are weighing on him. We've seen what he could do when he's rolling. And the difference, I know I just went on a whole thing about RJ. The difference is that they've never relied on Grimes like they rely on RJ. And so it's not like I thought RJ today was actively detrimental and Grimes was just a no-show. Which one of those is worse? You be the judge. But they need him, and he has not given them what they have needed this year. I would argue, on balance, I know RJ's had a rough last whatever it's been, month or so. I would argue that Grimes remains the most disappointing player in the rotation so far this season. So I'll give you that. I don't think moving into the starting lineup is the answer. I think he just needs to figure it out. I think he's a young player going through it. I would not give up on Quentin Grimes. I don't think the Knicks want to give up on Quentin Grimes. I don't think they should give up on Quentin Grimes. What's going to be interesting is if there's a trade available at the deadline, I would not be surprised if Grimes' name comes up. I know everybody's looking at quickly as the guy because of the contract situation being a little bit more impending. I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if Grimes' name came up, for I don't know what deal, but some deal. Thanks, Robert. Busy. All I want for Christmas is a Macri rendition of Joe Budden, Pump It Up. Man, you're not getting that. Sorry, Busy. I did all the Christmas shopping I'm going to do this holiday season. I don't even remember any of the lyrics of that song other than the titular Pump It Up. And I used to play that song all the time when I was a DJ. Great song. One of my favorites. And it's a song that I never felt, maybe just said something about where I was DJing. I never felt it got people as excited as the song warranted. That's a great fucking song. And it should be a great club song. But evidently I wasn't going to the right clubs or working at the right clubs. So sorry, Busy. Busy with another one. Thank you for the generous contribution, Busy. Appreciate you. Hope everybody's good on your end for the holidays. Hope you're good for the holidays. Look, Pump It Up. If you came to get it crunk. Oh, you want me? I'm not singing this. I'll read it. I'm not singing it. Pump it up if you came to get it crunk with a dame and shit that's drunk. You came to get it on. More than 5 O's in your bank, then get it on. Roll up like that stank and get it on. Stank that fitted on, came to get it on. Yeah, that brings back some memories. That brings back some memories. I appreciate that, Busy. And I'm sure everybody else appreciates it too. The whitest man on the planet singing Joe Budden. Exactly what everybody ordered under their tree this holiday season. Anthony Sixto. RJ's lack of physicality on both ends is a concern. Thank you. Let's dig back into this. Positives. What Julius Randle does to a paint, to a paint that houses Lopez, Portis, Giannis is incredibly underrated. I think that your point about Randle is like, even when Randle's having an off game, his physicality still shows up. I mean, he drew fouls on Giannis, like he drew fouls on Lopez. I love that about him. I love that about Julius Randle because that is something that, again, with the exception of Giannis, no other team has that. There's not a team alive, a team out there. Karl-Anthony Towns is a different animal. Karl-Anthony Towns beats you in other ways. And boy, can he beat you. But he doesn't do that. You feel Randle, after a game against him, and he is unrelenting. And that's why, last thing I would do is kill Randle for a game tonight where he, again, not a great matchup, missed some shots he probably usually makes. The RJ physicality thing, that's the one probably more than anything I've been waiting for years. Always will think back to that clip with Butler, Jimmy Butler, talking to him about how how he could draw fouls. And it's not even about the drawn foul. Defensively, why is he so easy to move? Why is he so easy to get off his spot? Why does it seem like the best wings in the league? And look, they're the best wings in the league, and he's defending the best wings in the league. So that in and of itself is a compliment to RJ. But why does it seem like so many of these guys just have their way? And you look up and you're just like, man, can you maybe flip it and be the aggressor here? When do we get that? Am I being unkind? Are there stretches where he plays good defense? He's played really good defense this year. But in that specific area, I still feel like we don't get it enough. We don't get it consistently enough. Thanks, Anthony. Spicy Sham. I'm tired of watching RJ Barrett play for this team. It's exhausting. I really don't want to hear it when he has one good game in 3 weeks. Trade him. Well, you gotta find someone who wants what you have to give. It's a player in the first year of a $107 million extension that has been talked about as being an absolute steal at times, and that has been talked about as being, are we sure that's a good contract? At times. I don't think you'd have a problem moving it, but again, I'll reference the thing that I have gotten pilloried for more than any single comment that I have made since I've been doing this shit, which is when I called him matching salary. What is matching salary? Matching salary is you're getting a player that makes a certain amount of money, and you're fine with that. You're fine with that. It's not expiring money. It's not money that you just want off your books. It is appropriate matching salary. You know, RJ Barrett makes $26.5 million a year. I would argue that that's maybe a little bit more than he's worth in the aggregate. And the team that, but here's the thing, right? And this is why people get mad at me, because that implies that this is what he is, right? It implies that the team that is trading for him is not trading for upside. To which I would ask anybody who would say that, how much longer are we sure teams around the league are looking at RJ Barrett and swearing that there's better stuff coming down the pike? I'm just asking questions. That's all. Just asking questions. Thanks, Spicy Sham. Deadwards 604. Thank you for the generous contribution. A lot of generosity today. Thank you so much. It means a lot during the holiday season from all of us here at KFS. So on behalf of everybody, thank you. Deadwards 604. Can we start to get on RJ? I think that ship is sailed. I'll get blowback for this, but I hate this he's young cop out that people use. 5th year in the league, and he's on a $100 million contract. I must have read your mind with everything I just said. I apologize. I didn't wait to say it until you just gave this chat. Time to play like it. Anyway, Merry Christmas, KFS fam. Love you guys. Yeah, I mean, like, I don't look. It happens at different times for different players. I think, the Wiggins comp for me is always going to be the most interesting one. And I've shouted him out before for this, but shout out to Benji Ritholtz, who wrote a great piece for the Strickland, I want to say probably a year and a half ago now, about that specific comparison. And Wiggins, it's funny, this year has kind of reverted back to being like, oh my God, what are the Warriors going to do with this guy? He's a big part of the problem. But he also helped them win a championship. After being an immensely frustrating player in Minnesota after he got that Supermax extension. So I don't know. I think you get to this point and you certainly know, like, more or less what somebody's going to be. You want to tell me DeRozan, I think, made his first All-Star team in year 5. I'll double check that. And he was a frustrating player over his first 4 years. Like just look at the contract that he got. His extension was like not a big money extension, even by the standards of back in the day. Yeah, he made an All-Star team in year 5. Really took a leap. Across the board leap, by the way. Just looking at his stats. And Wiggins, his ridiculous All-Star thing, because that was not a real All-Star inclusion. But more importantly, the Finals MVP, he was 26. But he had already started to show signs, I think, in Golden State before that. So, like, it happens. It happens with guys who have got the comps that I always laughed at are the comps where you get just the age comparison and like comparison to like what other guys did in like year 4, year 5, year 6. All those guys like either didn't enter the league until later or like they were bit players when they came in, like Kawhi and Jimmy Butler are 2 ones that got thrown around a lot. Like those guys didn't, like, once they started getting major opportunities, like you knew, obviously that ship has sailed with RJ. Nobody's trying to compare RJ to those guys anymore. At least I hope not. But he got opportunities from day one. From day one. Thanks, Edwards. So focused. How are you? As we continue to say, bad matchup. Brunson can't guard their guards. Nope. Randle can't guard Giannis. Nope, not really. Or the rim, so everybody else has to step up. Well, listen, other guys were getting their lunch handed to them. Like those, you could say that Brunson's the most egregious one, and put Randle maybe next, but I don't even know how I feel about that, because like Giannis does that to everybody, Brunson is more on the defensive end, I think stands out maybe more. Because again, the big difference, it's Giannis doing that to Julius. It's Malik Beasley doing this to Jalen. I don't mean to come off as disparaging of Brunson. Like, I hope everybody knows I love Jalen Brunson more than anybody. But that's kind of a big difference there. And then, but all the way on down, like I don't know. I didn't think anybody played a great defensive game today. Quickly, hard. DiVincenzo battled, but like, no. Thanks, Joe. Hush Zoo. I just hope some movement happens. Team is good, but not good enough against contenders. I don't know what move it is, but Mitch has been sorely missed. Yeah, Mitch has been missed. He'll continue to be missed. But again, this isn't a game I don't think this game goes differently if Mitch is in there. Might get a few more rebounds, but I don't love the Mitch matchup against Milwaukee. I've never loved the Mitch matchup against Milwaukee. He's had some decent games against them, but other than the foul trouble, I thought Hardenstein did fine. In terms of what we should have realistically expected. In terms of, I just hope some move happens soon. I don't think you're going to get anything soon. I think this is going to be a slow developing trade market because you got 22. I think you could arguably have 23 teams. Not even arguably. I think you are going to have 23 teams who see themselves as buyers. And I'm including the Raptors in there, even though I think the Raptors are going to try to move Siakam, but and maybe like Trent or someone, but so what? Call it 22 and a half. And then, so that doesn't mean that like moves won't happen, but obviously when there's a lot more buyers than sellers, prices are going to be high. And I don't think the Knicks are not going to make a move. Like, we know they're not going to make a move just to make a move. They don't need to. Like, the game to say that after is not this game. Like, the Knicks have been doing just fine. This is like, they're 16 and 12. I just want to repeat again, for as much as we're bitching and moaning after this game, they're perfectly fine to be 16 and 12 after 28 games. Perfectly fine. No issue with it. Thanks, Hush. Justin, thank you for the generous contribution. Happy holidays, KFS. Not mad. Tough matchup given the roster. I love the idea of RJ. I love the idea of RJ. It's a great idea. But it's year 5, and at some point would love him to learn he's not good enough to challenge guys like Lopez repeatedly. Yeah. Man, what is the three? I haven't looked at the 3-point percentage in a while. What is the 3-point percentage at this point? That's the other one. Like, you can control that. That's getting in the gym. That's putting up shots.
Hey, John.
Hi, what's up?
It's 35% is RJ's 3-point percentage. Also, your feed is a bit pixelated and delayed, according to those of us watching. So I'm just going to do a quick tech support check and have you either refresh your internet or leave and come back. I can do a quick advanced stats update if you'd like. So shout out everybody tuning in here on the KFS postgame show. We're going to have John fix his internet and come back and then take you the rest of the way home. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in on like 2 days before Christmas. You should all probably be shopping or something and getting those last minute gifts, whether it be a stocking stuffer or the Secret Santa gift that you need to go get, or a jump shot for RJ Barrett, whatever it is that you really are looking for that you can't find this Christmas. Hopefully you can find it before all the sales are done. We're going to do an advanced stats lookup real quick and give you know what? Let's go to the standings first. How's that? Because all the gloom and doom with the Knicks, and yet they are still the 6th seed in your Eastern Conference standings at 16 and 12, only a half game behind the fraudulent Miami Heat. They are only also only a half game behind the trending downward Orlando Magic, who they play next weekend. So those are your standings, at least. They currently sit right around the 4, 5, 6 spot in the Eastern Conference. Let me add John back to the screen. All right,
better?
that's much better. That's much better. And then we're going to do an advanced stats look as I pull up the page and say that the Knicks, after today's loss, are now 10th in offense. I believe they were 10th in offense going into this game, right? In defense, they went from 13th to 14th, so only dropped one spot. And then a net rating, still 9th in net rating in the NBA. So around the same spot. Today's loss, as frustrating as it was, no harm, no foul across the board.
Well, I don't know about no harm, no foul.
Depends where you thought harm was coming from and how big a foul you were not anticipating. Okay.
Sure.
Some fouls hurt differently than others. Some fouls are just a ticky-tack foul, and you're just like, all right, that's good. They're gonna call that, but it shouldn't be. And sometimes, someone dives at your knees and you're out for the season. This was a ticky-tack foul.
This was a ticky-tack foul. I like that.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
The broadcast.
Thank you, GMAC. Sorry about the pixelation, folks. And thank you again, Justin. Hush with another one. Scotto's report on the Knicks' interest in Murray. Got any real legs to it? I like the pairing, bringing in a great defender that could do it all. So a couple things on that. I thought Scotto's wording, and Mike Scotto's a great reporter, my fellow neighbor here in Brooklyn. I thought the wording was purposeful. I believe he used the word exploratory. I would be surprised if the Knicks went knocking on that door with any more than exploratory interest for a few reasons. One, Dejounte Murray is a very good defender of small guards and guards in general. He's still a small guard himself. And I don't love the defensive pairing with him and Jalen Brunson. And then as far as can do it all, Dejounte Murray is another player that is best when he has the ball in his hands. Now, all that being said, I think RJ Barrett fits very much into that same description. Guy who's best with the ball in his hands. If you swap out RJ Barrett for Dejounte Murray on this team, does this team become better? Absolutely. I think they do. I think but at the same time, you're then looking at okay, well, is that really the move that they would make, or would they want to put Dejounte Murray in between RJ and Brunson? Well, then that gets back to the size issue. And you want to make sure you're not too small. Would that mean Hart elevates into the starting five? I don't know. Other than doing a Murray RJ swap, I'm not really sure that that's a move that I would feel great about. And again, trading RJ, it leaves you in even they already, as we always talk about, RJ doesn't do a lot of the typical things that big wings do in the league. So but if you trade him, it only further exacerbates your need for a big wing, and you do become smaller. And yes, there are games where RJ just being 6'6" and 200 whatever pounds he is, makes a difference. Didn't make a difference today. It makes a difference sometimes. So I would do that move, but I mean, if you're Atlanta, what else are you asking for? Thanks, Hush. Stevens Guillaume, what's going on, Stevens? Why does Tibbs minute matches Randle and Giannis? Against that team we struggle with, we have to win those non-Giannis minutes because they don't have anybody else to guard Giannis. That's pretty easy. And in theory, they should have zero issue winning the non-Giannis minutes, because we've been saying since the summertime that this team's greatest strength, more than any individual player, would be its depth. And you got, one thing that again, all of Knicks Twitter is seemingly united on is that Emmanuel Quickley doesn't ever get enough minutes. Well, he's usually on the floor for those minutes. Like I'm not putting it on him today, but like him, like RJ, like these guys, like they have enough, as Tibbs would say. They have enough to win those minutes without Randle. And I think that the drop off to try to guard Giannis without Randle out there, I wouldn't want any part of that. Thanks, Stevens. Jocelyn focus with another one. As an RJ defender, I am obligated to shoot him some bail. He was bad offensively, but he was our best wing defender, which he shouldn't be. Quentin Grimes was getting cooked by everyone. I don't think RJ's defense was anything to write home about tonight. I'll agree to disagree there. I don't think anybody's defense was anything to write home about tonight. And saying that he was your best wing defender, I mean, shit, that might be true, but that's not, and like, fine, let's give him that. It doesn't excuse anything. Like, okay, Brunson got picked on. Offensively, he was brilliant. These are not two equal cups, right? Brunson bad on D, Brunson good on O, RJ bad on O, RJ, I guess, okay on D. No, that's not how it works, So I understand you're playing devil's advocate here, and I appreciate you're striving to do that, because I sure as shit am not, but no, not the same for me. Ja with another one about RJ. And even when he's having bad shooting games like this one, we should still be able to count on production from two other guys, so he doesn't play. Who today? I thought, obviously, Brunson had a good game. I thought Randle had an off game. He also got to the line, 10 times? Like, he figured out a way to contribute even though he was off. Nobody else showed up. But, like, that's why, like, let me give you this. If you look at the comments from this postgame, you would think that this loss is on RJ Barrett. This loss is not on RJ Barrett. He didn't help, obviously. And he was, I would argue, the most detrimental Knick of anybody out there. And if you replace him with someone who had an outstanding game, might they have won? Sure. But the Knicks did not lose this game because of RJ Barrett. So that I will give you. I think that's what you're angling here towards. Thank you, Joe. Busy with another one. I get star guards getting picked on. JB ain't the first, but he might be the first to get picked on by Beasley. The five option. Hard to win like that. Look, it's not unfair. It's not unfair. It's not unfair. Brunson battles. I thought he battled today. Didn't matter. I do think that is where it gets into a larger discussion about, for one, beggars can't be choosers. This guy, as far as I'm concerned, this guy saved their franchise. So he's what you have. You accept him, and you accept his strengths, and you accept his weaknesses. And because beggars can't be choosers, and he's your guy that you have, that's where everybody else needs to step up. And is like that fair? Like, we all have to cover for what this guy can't do? Well, you know what? He covers everybody else's goddamn ass a hell of a lot more than the other way around. So, yeah, I think it's fair. But you're not wrong. You're not wrong, Busy. Parrish can't show up Christmas Day without another center. So this was something that was going on through the chat during the game. A few people were like, it's a disgrace that Taj Gibson is their backup center. I'm going to try to be calm and breathe, as Andrew Claudio implored me to do before we started. Trade season hasn't started yet. I know December 15th has passed. Trade season has not started yet. If you are going and getting someone right now, you are paying a premium for that player because it is so far ahead of the trade deadline. And again, trade deadline hasn't started yet. So anybody you call up and you have an interest in a player, they're going to be like, okay, great, sure. Give us X, Y, and Z. And that is called acting out of desperation. And I'm sorry for anybody who watched today and their takeaway was like, man, we really need another center besides Taj Gibson. We can't have another game like that. What game were you watching? Because it wasn't the same one that I was. Is Taj Gibson an ideal fill-in? No, he's not ideal. He was on the street for a month after or a month and a half after he got cut by Washington. But he knows the system. He knows the demands. He's played with most of these guys before. And he shows up and he gives you everything he has every minute that he's on the floor. And if I'm parsing hairs between him and some other guy that doesn't have a job in the NBA, because again, it's the only guy you're getting right now, I'll take the guy who, I'll take the devil I know, because I know what Taj Gibson brings. And it's professionalism and it's effort and it's all the little things that mean something on this team. So I again, few things truly stun me, but this outcry for they need another backup center immediately, I for the life of me, I don't get it. Do not get it. Thank you, Parrish. Jocelyn Focus with another one. Poor Zach with an H. Still hasn't seen a W live. I don't know who you're referring to, but apologies to him. And hopefully it happens soon. Thanks, Joe. Oh, Sean's son. Okay, well Zach with an H, Sean with a W. I get it now. Oh, that does suck. Yeah. Well, soon, hopefully. I don't know. I mean, my advice to his dad would be to pick a game against a crappy team, but he's probably tried that too, and it didn't work. Who's the team the Knicks usually beat? Pick a Hawks game. Go to a Hawks game. That's a good way to see a win. Ja with another one. With that said, time for Lil Cuz to sit the season. He ended my mom's lossless streak in the Garden. Well, I think he deserves another chance. Thanks, Joe. Jeff, what's going on, man? I see you always chiming in on Twitter. Thank you. Feel better, Macri. Have we reached the point of diminishing returns with the shoot bad, play well RJ games? This Dejounte for RJ sound good to you? Well, you took the words out of my mouth. Yeah, again, I don't know that Atlanta's doing that. I don't know that Atlanta's doing that. Without other stuff. And what other stuff? What stuff are you willing to attach to RJ to get Dejounte Murray if Atlanta even wants to do that? I mean, I guess in theory it makes some sense for their team because they get a little bigger. But for all the reasons why New York would want to do that, we should then ask ourselves, would Atlanta want to do that? I don't know. Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate you, man. Kev with another one. Hey, John, why don't you think Tibbs is going with Randle with the backups despite the good numbers? I really don't see a great argument against it. Well, today he was matching the minutes with Giannis. Moving forward, there isn't a great argument against it. I think he likes to maximize the time that Randle's on the floor with Brunson. And I think if you are playing Randle with the backups, you're getting less of those because if to put him in at the beginning of the second quarter, you're probably taking him out earlier in the first. And you're probably also sitting him first. Here's the real reason. If RJ is not having a great game and RJ has his usual stints, starts the game, is the first sub out, and then comes in the game at the beginning of the second quarter. If he's not having a great game, he'll play his stint in the second quarter, played whatever it is, 4, 5, 6 minutes, and then just sit on the bench and not come back in the game for either half. You're not doing that with Randle. You have to get Randle back in the game. So that means your stint with Randle at the beginning of the second is probably not going to last too long. And you're also asking Randle to play 3 different stints, which I'm not sure he really wants to do. I'm not sure how many stars in the league really like to do that. Obviously, Giannis does. Most guys do not. So I don't know his personal feelings about that. And the other part of it, I would say, is I think you want your best players on the floor against the other team's best players. And doing it this way pretty much ensures that. And really, this backup unit should be good enough as is to beat other teams' backup units. Like, right? Isn't that the case? This is where RJ should eat. If RJ can't eat against opposing teams' backup units, like what the F good is he? The answer is be better, backup unit. Thanks, Kev. Busy with another one. Question for both of you and GMAC. I don't know if GMAC wants to come back on here. On the reason why we lost this game, if you can only name 3 players and their deficiency, who would those 3 be? Oh, my God. You're trying to get me to kill Brunson and his size on defense. I know. Can I name a same player multiple times with multiple deficiencies? I'll go RJ shooting for sure. That's the thing, is it's like I mean, sure, you want me to say Brunson's size on defense? But it's a false equivalency. It's a false equivalency because even if Brunson's size on defense might make this list, suggesting that there wasn't a whole lot else going on, like, was he the most detrimental player to their defense? Sure. Was the gap between him defensively and everybody else, what they did defensively, anywhere in the same stratosphere as the gap between what Brunson did offensively and what everybody else contributed offensively? Wasn't. So it's a false equivalency. But if you want me to say the thing, sure. And I don't even know what number 3 would be. I mean, they didn't get any friggin' rebounds. Yeah. Anyway. Okay, busy. Joe with another one. Back to the game. Everyone deserves shots from Randle down. No one stuffed off the way we needed to besides JB. Yeah, it's fair. Yeah. I mean, I'm not killing Randle after this one. If you want to, that's fine. And I don't even think anybody individually needs to be killed other than, RJ really did kind of step in it today. Thank you, Joe, for all the generous contributions. Appreciate you. And here's another one. This was the game I expected Hart to put his stamp on. How did he reward me? 1 of 6, 2 rebounds, 3 assists. I don't only want to hear RJ slander. I pointed Hart out at the beginning. I singled him out right before I singled out Grimes and RJ. He was a non-entity. And you know what? When you get paid to just be the human embodiment of energy, you cannot have performances like this. If you're Josh Hart, is a very poor performance from him. I completely agree. Not going to push back at all. I do think still there is a level of active detriment that is different when you have RJ starting the game going whatever he was. Thank you, Joe. Yanni Golan, what's going on, Yanni? Haven't watched the game today at my in-laws for dinner, but the fact we were not competitive against these top teams is really deflating. Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of the word we've all settled on, right? Deflating. Look, they were competitive-ish. I don't know. Is that being too kind? I don't know. Bucks never had to really get after it today. For me, that's the most discouraging part. That the Bucks, like, you could tell they were never in high gear. But I think it's a combination of we're a step below and it's a bad matchup. Two things is what it is. Ja with another one. I'm at the actively detrimental part, J-Mac. I agree offensively. Also, pump. I'm not doing it. I'll read the words and that's it. Pump, 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 pump it up. You happy? I hope that was worth it. Merry Christmas to all. Hey, Haitian Ferg, Macri singing "Pump It Up" is better than a t-shirt toss. Well, t-shirt tosses suck. I don't know that any in-arena entertainment coordinator wants me doing that, but I think they'd probably sooner have me jump off a ladder into a box, like the stupid fucking dragon in Orlando, which is now named Kia Arena or something. Just like fraudulent behavior on top of fraudulent behavior. Thank you, Haitian. Jason M. Had a shot versus the C's and Bucks last year. They improved. Yeah, that's the smartest thing we've heard all postgame. They both got better in significant ways. I think. I mean, I know I want to see the Knicks. Obviously, I want to see the Knicks win the championship and win playoff rounds against one or both of these teams. But like, just as an NBA fan, I am fascinated to see a 7-game series with these Bucks and Celtics because I just would be fascinated to see how they would match up with one another because they both have stuff to throw at the other team and they both have stuff that like the other team like they have over the other team in terms of matchup advantages. So yeah, I mean, you could argue they're the two best teams in basketball. Like Denver's been kind of scuffling, but these teams are really good. Really good. Oh, wait, it's playing 10 times this year. Hooray us. Thanks, Jason. Anthony Strano. Not sure if you talked about it. What are your thoughts on the Dejounte rumors? Did talk about it a little bit. I'll just say again, I don't think it's a perfect fit. I think the most obvious trade is just an RJ for Dejounte trade, something built around that. I don't think that that's something that I would be surprised if that's something that Atlanta was gung-ho about. And frankly, I would honestly, because Dejounte makes them smaller. Like, doesn't matter what you trade for Dejounte, he makes them smaller. And this is a team that they know whatever their iteration is moving forward, they have to get a little bigger. And also, like Dejounte, you have a ball dominant guy in Brunson, you have a ball dominant guy in Randle. Not saying those guys don't do other things off the ball. Brunson certainly does with his shooting. Randle is finding more and more ways to contribute, when he's not scoring, at least. Let's say that. Dejounte Murray is a guy that you want on your team for what he could do with the ball. Now, could he be your third guy? The best teams, third, like Klay Thompson is a great, but the perfect third guy in NBA history, arguably one of the best third guys in our NBA history, because he's maybe the greatest off-ball player of all time. But if you need him to put the ball on the floor and like do some shit with it, he can. Murray obviously is great with the ball in his hands. He's not elite. He's not a superstar. He's not a top 20 or top 25, I would argue, even offensive engine in the sport. He's still really good. Does he give you enough off-ball equity? Like, what is he adding to your offense when he doesn't have the ball? Now, maybe offense is going to be a problem if you go get Dejounte Murray. Defensively, again, he's a little small. Is that a problem that will probably only rear its ugly head in the playoffs? Sure. But here's my point. If you're going to make a Dejounte Murray trade, unless it's like RJ for Murray straight up, and again, I don't think you're getting that trade, you're paying real stuff. You're weakening your asset chest to go get this player. Maybe they feel like they'll have enough left over and it'll be worth it and the whole thing. I don't know. I don't know. Something about it does not strike me as something that is the perfect trade. Thanks, Anthony. Robert with another one. Oh, here we go. RJ isn't the only Knicks struggling. Anchor goes down. Roster build is flawed. Both things can be true. Hashtag 53 wins. Oh my goodness gracious. Now the roster is flawed. Oh my Lord. Man. I don't know if I'd be more shocked if I saw baby Jesus there in the manger and he stuck up a middle finger at me and said, "What the fuck are you looking at?" I'd be just as shocked. Robert Cross, flawed roster. Oh boy. Funny the things that come out of hashtag's mouth when RJ has an off game. Look, necessity. You don't want to tank, which I'm not saying they should have. I mean, look at what's going on in Detroit right now. But you don't want to tank. Well, then you get handed lemons, you make lemonade. Well, here's your lemonade, Robert. This is the roster. It's a smallish roster. They don't have an elite, big wing shot creator, the guy that we always talk about, like they could use. So, like, I don't know who you're blaming for that. But today is not the day to me to be like, the roster build is flawed, because the big difference here between, I think, you and a lot of people is, or at least me, is I always recognize this season for what it is, which is the season before the big move was coming. No sensible person looked at this roster and be like, oh, okay, well, this is what they have. Now they are going to go and attempt to go win championships with this roster. Nobody thought that. Nobody with any sense, at least. All due respect. Kevin Danishevsky reviving Cameron Johnson convo with RJ and an unprotected first. You doing that if you're Brooklyn? Depends when the first is, right? Let's say it's this year's first. Would I give RJ Barrett and the Knicks unprotected 2024 first round pick for Cam Johnson? Does Brooklyn do that? Brooklyn probably does that. I bet you Brooklyn does that. Or maybe they don't. I don't know. Maybe they laugh Leon Rose off the phone. Maybe Leon doesn't want to do that. I don't know. I'm lower on RJ than most people, so I'd probably do that. But I don't know. I wouldn't love it. Cam's good, though. Gives you a lot of what they need. We'll see. They're not doing that trade. Ryan Nelson, what's going on, Ryan? Difference between RJ and Wiggins DeRozan is that the latter two were elite athletes. Bingo. Good job by you pointing that out, and bad job by me for ignoring that. Oh my gosh. I'm just gonna say his actual name because I can't read that. RJ is a stumble bum with zero feel for the game. Stumble bum, man, that might be the cousin to Frank from Patreon's booty clappers. The booty clappers do deserve a stumble bum. I'll say that. Thanks, Ryan. That was good. Ja with another one. Let me sum up my points. Oh goodness, you're getting into Robert Cross territory here. Top 6 guys that we rely on to win games. RJ might not be on it, so let's, not you, John, not kill the guy for the team loss. Yeah, I think that's fair. He's an easy target today, but again, it's never just about the game, right? Even the Randle stuff, like earlier this year when Randle he got off to his terrible start and he had those terrible games. It's never just about the game. It is, I think, a lot of people who are feeling, frankly, the way that I have often felt over the last couple of years, where it's like, why am I not allowed to point out the negatives from this player? And when I do, I am called all sorts of names when he has a good performance, So I don't think it's as much people blaming RJ for the loss. I think it's just mounting frustration from that fact that I just spoke about. Thanks, Joe. Joe with another one. I'd trade RJ for Dejounte, but if not him, Grimes. Well, the problem there is your salary issue. However, I think Fournier and Grimes for Dejounte might work, or it might not. Don't quote me on that, but it gets you in the range. Is Atlanta doing that? I don't know. That's not a first five I'm in love with. I know it's a lot of talent. Brunson, Murray, RJ, Randle, center. You want to talk about an only one ball problem? That's brutal. That's why, to me, RJ is just the more natural piece to go out, even though it makes you smaller. I just like it. You'd be so small with that move. I don't know. But again, but much like this season already is, that would not be your final move. It's you're making your way this season, and then this summer you hope you put the final pieces in place. Thanks, Joe. Hajzu, thoughts on Sadiq? Cheaper wing, easy plug and play. I think Sadiq Bey is a guy that, I think it speaks volumes how much the Hawks can't wait to get Jalen Johnson back and how much Jalen Johnson changed their team. And they have been consistently underwhelming with the combination of Sadiq Bey and DeAndre Hunter as the starting 3-4. I think Bey is a guy who maybe nice bench player on the right team in the right situation. He's always kind of struck me as a little bit more empty calories than I'd like. I don't watch him enough to have a really intelligent opinion. So you could probably throw out much of what I said, but you just look at their team and the fact that they were doing much better with Jalen Johnson in there, and nobody seems to be saying anything nice about the season Sadiq Bey is having. I'm sure he's putting up nice numbers. I don't know. I don't know if he's a guy that I don't know if he's I don't know. Is he one of our 9 best players if he's on the Knicks right now? I don't know about that. Thanks, Hush. Busy. What are we doing here? I'm sorry your response and the entire tone of this post game gives me pause. Our offense isn't the problem. You say this all the time. It's not because of Jalen Brunson. Yet RJ's lack of offense is always the center of the reason why we lost. I didn't say it's the reason why we lost. So that's not on me. Don't put that on me. That said, their offense was not great today. It was not. So again, nuance. Nuance is always important. The Knicks today shot 31% from 3 and 44% overall. That is not great. RJ was 5 of 17, 2 of 5 from deep. As we talk about a lot, his looks were open the first 3. I know he made the last 2, so good job by him. When you have a guy out there that defenses are so just welcome when he has the ball, it's also, here's the other bit of context. Their offense wasn't great today. Against this team, the only way you are beating this Bucks team is to have a great offense. It is the only way that anyone's going to beat this Bucks team because you're not stopping them. No one's stopping them. I don't think Boston's stopping them. So nuance, context. All that being said, I never said RJ is the reason they lost this game. I don't think RJ is the reason they lost this game. But to sit here and be the offense is fine. So we can't talk about the offense in this game. That's ridiculous. Like, yeah, they have a really good offense, and it has won them a lot of games. And most of the time, it is not the problem. Today, it was part of the issue. And guess what? It wasn't just RJ. It was other players too. Thank you, Busy. We can't stop anybody, and RJ isn't the. This is another one from Busy. We can't stop anybody, and RJ isn't the first or second or third reason why. Role. His role should be to be the big wing defensive stopper on this team. The fact that he is not is why we always are going to be talking about OG Anunoby, or why now, Murray's coming up, because at least Murray can defend guards. So how are you helping your team win? How are you contributing? If you are not meaningfully contributing on the offensive end, well, then how are you contributing on defense? And I thought today, RJ's, again, was he the best defender in the starting five? Maybe. I don't know that that's the best compliment. But again, I think the team has been fine. I don't think he's the reason they lost today. I think his offense hurt them a lot. What are you contributing? There's a role for him on this team that would be perfectly suited for him if it was the ideal version of him. And I do think the fact that we don't get that version is part of why they have had some disappointing performances, including today. Like, if he was a dynamite, stopper, for instance, does it make their job a little bit easier on defense? Maybe a little bit. Thank you, Busy. I love you. Job with another one. Busy follow-up. I've been thinking Randle Brunson defense has been the biggest detriment. Brunson rotations have been better than Randle's, so. I mean, have those guys' defense, has their defense been the worst or the most detrimental in the starting five? Sure. On balance, yeah. They've also been all-star caliber offensive players, which, again, we're going round and around the mulberry bush here, saying no one's arguing their defense has been great. But the Knicks, their whatever their offense is ranked since their 2-4 start. I think it was 4th going into today. Might be 5th now. I don't know. But the fact that they have a top 5 offense for the vast majority of the season is based on Randle and Brunson 1-2 in some order, and then a massive chasm, and then whoever else you want to say. That gap between defensive culpability is non-existent between their most culpable defensive parties, even if you rank Brunson and Randle 1 and 2. The gap is nowhere near as big between those two guys and the next. No one's been great on this team defensively with the exception of Mitch. He's gone. There have been two great offensive players on the team. Thank you, Joe. Dom the dentist. Loud noises. Amen to that. Joe with another one. Merry Christmas, KFS. Me love you long time. Well, we appreciate you. RJ team kills me. RJ takes star-like amount of shot attempts. That's RJ team saying that, so yeah. I mean, he shoots a lot. His usage is never wanting, for sure. Very fair. That's it. Okay, we're done. This went longer than I expected. Holy Jesus. Thanks, everybody. As Andrew said before, you won't see me on Christmas. I'll be hopefully able to be with my family and no longer quarantined. But I hope we get a win. I think we can beat this team. It's a terrible matchup, but they could play better. Play with more energy, certainly. And I hope they get a win. I hope they get a win against, one of these elite teams at some point. I still think the Phoenix win was a really good win, but I know they've been scuffling, so it takes a little bit of shine off that. In any case, Keep the chins up. 16 and 12 is still good. Oh, we got one more just came in. Hush Zoo. Knowing what RJ could be from the playoffs, even then I question myself, is it still worth these inconsistent pains he brings? Look, that was very encouraging. Just like the start of the season was very encouraging. At some point, you are what you are. Have we reached that point yet? It's not for me to say. But I think a lot of people think that maybe we have. So we'll see. But don't get too down about RJ. He's allowed a bad game. Everyone's allowed a bad game. God knows I have a lot of bad games. Today might have been one of them. But thank you, everybody, for checking out the post game. And don't forget, subscribe to the channel, leave a rating, review the podcast, the whole thing. And we will talk to you soon. Andrew,
Hold on. We need to do. I wanted to know if you could do your thing. Let me do that thing. Do your thing. Let me do that thing. Or move that thing. Mommy, move that thing. Come on, for Christmas, John.
I said the thing already. I read the words.
Yes, you read the thing. John, he read that thing. I mean,
Merry Christmas, everybody.